I'd like to start off by letting you know my name is Shannon Miller, and I'm the chair of this year's Stop Exploitation Event. Very exciting to see all of you here. Yay! And personally, I see this as another brick towards that wall of finally stopping exploitation. So thank you all for being here. I wanted just a couple housekeeping issues. A lot of you have parked across the street or in the overflow lot. If you look around, there will be people who have an ambassador name tag on. That is our North Central Florida Senior Advocacy Network members who have agreed to serve as ambassadors today. If you need a ride back to your car and there isn't the bus running, grab an ambassador. They'll take you to where you need to be to get a ride to your car. So as the day closes, again, if you're someone who needs a ride to your car, grab an ambassador and we'll get you where you need to be. Bathrooms are in the hallway. There's coffee. We have a lunch planned. We have such an exciting group of speakers today, but I want to take a couple minutes to just talk a little bit, first of all, to thank our sponsors today, the Elder Law Section of the Florida Bar, the Academy of Florida Elder Law Attorneys, Elder Care of Alachua County, Elder Options, and really the founder of this event, as well as so many great things in Florida, and that is the North Central Florida Senior Advocacy Network. So let's thank our sponsors. Just a couple of things. The cards on your table. Those cards are for questions. We do have two panels today. One is a panel of scientists that are incredible. It's such an incredibly gifted group of people. Had dinner with them last night. My head is still blown. So we will be vetting your questions. So just know if you can limit inappropriate questions, that would be great. But get your questions to an ambassador. And if we have time, we'll try and get those questions heard by the scientists as well as our legal panel, which consists of prosecutors and elder law attorneys. So hopefully we'll have some time for that. So please use those cards to write your questions. There will not be an open time for question and answer. We also have these sheets on your table. And on one side, it's what's your best scam story. Throughout the day, as we get time, we'd like to announce scams that are going on in our communities across Florida. So if you have one, write it down, hand it to one of those ambassadors, and we'll start announcing those because we're trying to keep people in the loop with what's going on out there. On the back side of that sheet, there is a place for you to write down what you'd like to see happening across our state or across the nation with regard to stopping things. I know my number one is spoofing. I don't know if you guys know what spoofing is, but you're going to hear a story today from a local respected member of our community who was spoofed just about a week and a half ago. She tells a very compelling story, and she'll be here a little bit later today to talk about that. But anything that you'd like to see changed at the legislative level or in our communities, please write it down. And again, I'm going to try and collect those, and throughout the day we'll be talking to the group about some of those things that might be helpful with helping us stop exploitation. Okay. So we do have an amazing group of speakers today. And last night, we were fortunate to have a kind of a group of all the speakers that were in town, as well as some extra people who went to this dinner. And as we went around the room, we got to one person in particular who continuously flies under the radar. He has been at the forefront of the legislative changes that we've seen in Florida, starting way back. I think I met him in 2012 when we started looking at changes to the exploitation criminal laws. And this gentleman, Robert Anderson, where are you, Robert? See, he won't even probably raise his hand. There he is in the back. He's actually the head of Adult Protective Services in the state of Florida. And he's been with us throughout, consistently being that voice that says on a regular basis, this is a problem. And what he said last night was really compelling and it stuck with me. And that is that not only does exploitation create havoc in the victims' lives and the lives of their families, but it kills the victims. And what those of us who have been through and seen the process of exploitation and what it does to a victim and their families is it does, in fact, in many situations, kill the victim. It's incredibly disenfranchising. It can financially ruin someone. And on top of that, the stress and emotional turmoil that these victims go through oftentimes creates a death event. And so, I felt like that was so compelling. And once again, it's the voice from, this person who has been there throughout this process. And thank you, Robert Anderson, for that voice and making sure that we know this is killing people out there. A couple of important statistics. 1 in 5 people over the age of 70 will be exploited. Scams, the average cost of a scam in the United States is $17,500, and that's the reported cost. For people we know committing exploitation, the average cost is $50,200. The average victim of exploitation is victimized 7 times. 7 times. Again and again and again. And Nathan Sprang last night, one of our science panelists, was telling me last night about the dark web. Apparently, you can get the right search tool. Oh, there's your, yep. You can get the right search tool and you yourself can get on the dark web and you can buy someone's credit card number. And guess what? This was so shocking to me. Honor among thieves. In addition to getting that credit card number, if that credit card account has been closed, you get a money-back guarantee on the dark web. That's crazy. So this is what we're dealing with out there. And the fact of the matter is that law enforcement knows about this dark web and in many situations are powerless to stop it. So we have to do better. We have to be more diligent and we have to start addressing some of these very important issues. I have to go back to this number, and those of you who have heard me talk about this before, I'm sorry, but we are going to have to talk about it again, and that is $36 billion. $36 billion. What is that number? What is it? So I looked around. I got on the web. What's $36 billion? $36 billion is the amount of money that's exploited from individuals in the United States every year. It is also the amount that McDonald's earned across the entire world last year, which means every time somebody goes to get a coffee at the drive-thru of McDonald's, it's the same thing as an American giving their money away to a scammer or an exploiter. This is an insane amount of money, and there's a reason that it appears that organized crime is getting into the exploitation business. So we have to do something to stop this, and we're here today to help that. We now have some pretty good tools in Florida. The exploitation law, the criminal law that's used in the civil venue as well, is, I believe, the best in the country, although there's some competition now out there. So, we need to start picking things up from other states to start to implement them here. But one of the tools that has become absolutely the most effective and quickest tool is the Exploitation Injunction. And Ellen Cheek, where are you? There she is. Raise your hand again. Okay. Ellen Cheek was the one in the North Central Florida Senior Advocacy Network who brought this idea to our group. And we were very fortunate. The Elder Law Section, Senator Pasadomo, picked it up and ran with it. And we are the first state in the United States to have an injunction against exploitation. And it is doing great stuff out there. It's doing great stuff out there. So let's keep it going. And we're going to hear a little bit more about the injunction statute a little bit later. So the science. Where are our scientists? Come on, raise your hands. These are our researchers. They're doing amazing things. We have 2 Canadian researchers, one from Montreal, one from Toronto, here to talk about exploitation today and to tell us about their studies and their grants. We have Dr. Levin from Miami. We have right here in Gainesville, we have Natalie Ebner, who is doing an amazing whole bunch of research on exploitation. The research is it's not very broad, and you're going to hear about that. So we need to start parking some more money into the research so that we can start to understand the exploitable brain, which hopefully by the end of that session, you guys are going to understand a little bit more about the exploitable brain. And if you haven't listened to Brains and Losses, we're very fortunate to have David Brancaccio here from Marketplace to talk about this extensive study that he has done really over the last, I want to say, year and a half. And he continues to do it, gathering information from the science, from the law, from examples of exploitation, and putting it into this amazing investigative report that continues to provide additional information. For example, when David did this report, he also set up an email list of all the people that were involved in that investigative report. And now we have a brain trust. So we get together about every other month and chat about what's going on in Oregon, what's going on in California, what's going on in Florida, and try and figure out the best way to share information. So thank you, David, for this report, and thank you for all that you're doing for seniors and vulnerable adults. So this whole thing started again in 2012 with let's just call her Pasadomo. Pasadomo, who was a representative at the time, is now a senator, and in 2023 will be the president of the Senate. She really started a lot of this legislative ball rolling, and she will also be here to talk a little bit more about what we can do legislatively to stop exploitation. I will note this morning, I looked online at an editorial about Senator Pasadomo taking the helm as the president of the Senate. And you know what she said her biggest issue is? Elder abuse and exploitation. So we are very fortunate to have her here, and we're very fortunate to have her leading the Senate.